Welcome to a Delco Nerd Network podcast. My name is Anthony Ragucci, and here with a few friends in the Delaware County area, we get in the basement and we talk about a certain topic. Today's topic is going to be games in development hell. That'll probably change because Trio has prepped a topic that I don't necessarily know a ton about. So once he reveals it, probably the name in the podcast will be different than what I'm saying now.
Yeah.
But as always, you know, the triple threat, Chris Trio.
Gooch, how are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. What's new? What have you been playing, watching?
I've been watching not a lot. I started the O.J. Simpson show, the guys that do the American Horror Story one, like the American Crime Story. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, that's it's like a season, right?
Yeah, and it's definitely a story I didn't know a ton about. I definitely knew peripherally, and it's always interesting to watch those like kind of more true
crime. Did we live through that?
No, that was in the nine. It was in the. I'm watching an entire documentary series on it, and I don't even. I'm like the 90s, yeah, I think. But the juice. But that's been pretty interesting. I've just been going through old games right now. I platinum Spider-Man Miles Morales finally. Just needed to finish New Game Plus, and I was just like, I'm just gonna do this tonight just to check that off my list. So that felt nice. Otherwise, not much. You know, I've been playing Syndicate again for no reason. And I'm like really
We're going through all like every AC game.
It's just I
saw him playing Unity and I was like, what the fuck is
I don't know what it is. I've just been on a kick and it's been a lot of fun. I do think there's so many aspects in Syndicate where I'm like, oh man, you should have kept these parts. A lot of gameplay mechanics wise in that I love. And I thought the rope dart's a lot of fun, or the rope launcher, but yeah, not much else new. You know, jump back into Cyberpunk a bit. They released a kind of total shit update. That just with not.
I did hear that.
It was like they released like, I don't know. There was a new appearance for Johnny.
Oh, great.
And then some bug fixes. But there's just all the quality of life stuff in there. Again, it's just not there. And like, again, the one thing that really annoys me.
I don't want them to add more DLC. I think that they're still planning on it. I'm like, just
no, yeah,
I don't want to go
Well, just
back.
make it. Yeah, I don't know. I will say I've been having fun replaying it just for shits and giggles, and I do think there's a lot of interesting aspects of that game. But there's just like certain things of like you can't have your character look the way you want them to look. Really, like it's more you're worried about. Like if you want your armor to be good, it's one of those. It's like an old thing that I feel like a lot of games have fixed now.
The transmog appearance.
Yeah, like it's like all right, well let me make this appearance like look like this, and so I can actually look cool while having the armor I need. But it's just it is sad. Very sad. But, Booch, what have you been playing? What have you been up to?
I've been watching Love, Death, and Robots. That's something new that I haven't talked about that I've been watching. I'm like in... So, did you know the show gives you a different viewing order every time? Not every time you watch it, but like...
To every person who watches it?
Right.
Interesting.
So, I started with the season 2 episodes, and it funnels me down into season 1, because I like started and I was like, what? I was like, why is it starting me with season 2?
Because it just doesn't matter, right?
Right. They're all short stories about love, death, and robots.
Okay.
And yeah, so I like Googled it, and I'm like, that's cool. That's been cool. I haven't like been like dredging through it, but I'm you know, I watch like maybe like 3 or 4 at a time, and I'm like, all right.
How long are the episodes?
10 to 20 minutes.
Oh wow! See, I thought that I remember
They're all different animations, different directors, different writers, obviously.
Interesting.
Yeah, Nolan North is in one of them.
Oh, okay.
As the main character.
Interesting.
That was cool. I was like, you know, always cool to see Nolan North in things he normally isn't in.
I love it.
I've been playing Dark Alliance on stream, twitch.tv/Delco Network. If you're watching live in the chat right now. Thank you very much. Yeah, I've been streamed a little bit of that. I'm towards the end of that. The Ghost of Tsushima DLC came out, which I'm like not far into, so I like barely have anything to say about it.
So what was going on? Someone on Discord, I'm sorry, I forget who it was talking about that you need to be in like, you need to be in like Act 3 to like start the DLC.
Act 2.
Act 2?
Dilly was saying that.
So I did start a New Game Plus. Can you not go back to your regular game save?
If you have the save, you can.
Like I don't see. Yes. Like I was literally like I started the New Game Plus and really didn't play at all. So I'm assuming my saves, like, because you can still do a New Game Plus again off that same save. So I was like, I assume it's still. I'm hoping I don't have to play up. I mean, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, but I would rather avoid playing up to Act 2 to have to access that DLC. But how are you liking it so far? I know
it's good. Ghost of Tsushima wasn't like the highest thing in my gaming peripherals. I don't even know why I just said that word. My gaming, what's the word?
Pantheon?
Yeah, last year.
Yeah.
I wasn't like too high up on Ghost, but a lot of people were. So it looks cool so far. I don't have too much to say. It looks good on PS5, even though I'm playing the PS4 version of it. There was that, like, they did release that patch. Like,
what was going on here with yours? Wasn't working or something?
So, like, you can't buy the DLC separately. You have to buy the PS5 version. Sony just fucking everything up.
But what happens for me, a PS4 owner?
I don't know.
Like,
Good
so
question.
I can't even go in and just buy.
We'll see.
Well, but, like, how, so
the $10 DLC is not available to buy. I had to buy the bundle of the PS5 upgrade and the DLC. I didn't download the PS5 version yet, and it went to my PS4 version. Yeah.
But I thought they specifically said that
they did.
Fucking Sony.
Guys,
Sony. That is insane. Like, that makes that, like, actually is like, that's not okay. Because then, like,
no, it's not.
And then, like, I'm afraid now,
talking about
and I'm afraid now to buy the $10 version on my PlayStation 4 and have it just not work. I assume it would.
I think you'll be okay if you can get it. But my issue is, I'm like, where's the upgrade?
It literally just wouldn't even it wouldn't show up on the store.
It's not in the store. It's not on the game. I couldn't get prompted to it.
Interesting.
And I'm like, it has to exist, right? They fucking, anyway. So I spent $20 more than I wanted to, because I was like, I just want to play it on PS4, get the plat, and, like, maybe I'll just buy the $20 version and get the free plat.
Yeah, who cares? But I thought the whole idea was if you buy... Like, I felt like when they were explaining this, it was like, you can either buy the DLC on its own, or you can get the upgrade bundled with the DLC for $20, or just get the DLC for $10. So, say I buy the DLC for this, and then I do end up getting the PlayStation 5, would I have to spend then $20 more to get the PlayStation 5 version, or can I just buy the PlayStation 5 version for the $10 upgrade?
No, the DLC is the $10. The PS5 version is the $20.
So it's $30 altogether?
Correct.
I completely misunderstood this when they announced it then. Because, like, as I felt like I was reading it when you guys were talking about it, was like, yeah, it's $20 total if you wanted to buy. So
you're getting in deep.
I'm just confused. So on PS5, the PS5 upgrade is $20 by
30.
itself.
No, 30.
But then
the
you're
PS5
paying...
version is like the.
But I thought if you already owned,
it's like the Ultimate Edition.
But I thought if you already owned the PlayStation 4 version, they allowed you to upgrade that for $10 to get to set, because that was the idea. It's then $70.
No, it's 30, including the DLC. You have to buy the DLC. There's no option to not get it. But if you have the $10 DLC, it's supposed to be 20, which I didn't have, so I had to pay 30 because they wouldn't let me get the DLC.
Man, I completely like, I felt like when I was even listening to Sacred Symbols, that's how they were explaining it. So, like, I don't, like, that doesn't make any sense to me. So, but that, like, so the PS5 upgrade is $30.
Yes.
From when you're already paying $60 for the base game.
Yes.
So you're basically paying $90 for said PlayStation 5 game instead of the $70, which seems to be the base thing. Sony, you guys are fuckheads. That's insane. That's insane.
Not
like, it makes me actually not like it. That is actually
Xbox makes the smart delivery easy. Sony,
like, the fact that isn't a free upgrade, I'm sorry, is bonkers. But it's funny because people are going to pay for it, and it's the most bought console. So it's unfortunate, and so I can go buy the upgrade for $10, or no, I'm sorry, not the upgrade, the DLC for $10 supposedly. Then I can go, when I want to get the PlayStation 5 version, say I get a PlayStation 5, I have to pay $20 more to then upgrade. Yeah, that's fucked. Anyways, it's ridiculous.
So I've also been playing Resident Evil Revelations. That's been pretty cool. I'm going through, still playing through Resident Evil. 4's next, so I'm looking forward to that. Jumping back into Guild Wars 2 recently. Been playing the Red Dead single player recently. Again, trying to go back, finish those achievements up. That's kind of it. 12 minutes, which we'll be talking about next week.
Yeah.
We're still in like a drought period. There's nothing really out.
What's like the next big game?
Titans have been watching. What?
What's the next big game? Even trying to...
12 minutes was kind of
yeah,
it.
exactly. Yeah.
September. I don't know if chat wants to help me out.
But I'm sorry, you were saying Titans.
Yeah, Titans is fucking awesome, dude. I fucking love this season so far. I feel like HBO Max is kind of like, you know, taking the reins and is gonna do good with this.
They can go even dark, like they can have more liberties in certain respects. I feel like
I'm
for
sure
a more
they got
adult
more
audience.
money.
Absolutely, too.
I'm sure they have more money.
1,000%. Yeah.
So, I think that does it for what's been going on with us. I think I don't have anything else.
Yeah, that's really been it too for me. The old, it's just like you said. There's not a ton coming out right now.
No.
Can't wait to play 12 minutes.
Oh, I did see Old.
What'd you think?
Fucking fantastic. Like, I think one of my favorite Shyamalan films. That might be a hot take, but yeah, I saw that. I've
definitely been seeing good things. So that's cool.
Yeah, I want to see The Green Knight. I know you went to go see that.
Yes.
And
yeah.
I wanted to see it like I was thinking about going to see it last night. Just ended up like I think I asked Mike Lasacci to go and Tim, but like Mike ended up not doing anything. I'm like, all right, fuck it. I'll stay home and watch the Evangelion rebuild movies.
Of course.
Yeah. So what that is, so the newest, I don't know if you've seen commercials for it, but it's on Prime exclusively.
What is this?
This is the final Evangelion movie.
Okay.
Based off the hit anime Neon Genesis Evangelion.
As it is.
So basically, they remade the anime with 4 movies.
Oh,
and
I have heard about this.
And they started
okay.
doing this in 2007.
Yeah.
So the first movie, which I watched last night, is basically a retread of the first 6 episodes.
Okay.
And then the second one, it gets different, and it's basically like Hideki Anno's like full vision of it, because basically with the anime they ran out of money and he didn't get to do
what he wanted to do.
So, but the last movie just came out, which is on Prime.
Okay.
And that is the end. They're done. Like, they're never making any Evangelion. I feel like Evangelion's like one of those animes that it's like it's up there. It's like, you know, in the
I always hear
of
about
animes.
it. That's definitely like when I hear about people talking about animes, Evangelion's usually in the same breath.
It's good.
It's like that and like fuck. I'm trying to even now. I'm like Naruto and stuff. Like I don't know. Like
I feel like it's Attack on Titan, like Naruto, Full Metal Alchemist, Cowboy Bebop.
That's again all these ones that like I can't name off the top of my head, but I hear them all the time. Yeah. So it's definitely that's interesting.
I don't know if you would like it, but I think you might
enjoy. I do.
The
like
anime is
big, like Evangelion's like big robots,
20
right?
some episodes. Yeah.
Okay. I like big robots.
It's kids who pilot mechs.
Okay. I like big mechs.
That's the base premise, but it gets fucking off the rails.
I like it.
Anyway, Trio, hit us with our topic. Give us the intro as to what we're doing, because again, I've been left in the dark on this. I don't really know exactly what's going on. Trio's going to fill us in.
So we've been doing our Halo re-3s, obviously, and we were talking about Halo 1's development.
Absolutely.
And like the tumultuous kind of development that went through, and like the
oh,
issues
you mean 2?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, 2. And kind of just all the issues they hit. And I was like, man, are we interesting to talk about different like hellish game development cycles? And as I was doing research, I was just like, there's a lot, and like and to compile all this would be a little bit too much and time consuming. So I chose one game's hellish development cycle that I think we both enjoy.
Okay.
And also I think it's a pretty well-known incident, and one of probably the earliest experiences that I hear that we've heard about, maybe like crunch in video game industries, like one of the earlier things that I can remember even talking about it.
Okay.
But we're here to discuss the tumultuous development of LA Noire, Rockstar's. Yeah. So
Team Bondi. Bondi, before you even go into it, I do know the story of Team Bondi and LA Noire's like viciously
I think
horrible.
It is Team Bondi, actually.
Bondi.
Yeah, Team
Bondi. It's Australian. Whatever. Yes, I have heard the recounts. I don't know it's super in depth, but I know LA Noire had like a fucking horrible development, and it ended up not that LA Noire didn't do well, but it resulted in Team Bondi or
Team Bondi. I'm
gonna say Bondi.
Do whatever you feel.
I'm gonna say Bondi.
Yeah.
They don't exist anymore. Team Bondi went under because of this.
Yes. Well, and it's so as far as I was reading, it's not necessarily because LA Noire didn't do well, because it did very well.
I didn't know.
Critically and commercially, it
Yeah.
did fairly well.
Yeah.
It was more of this controversy that surrounded it, just kind of completely, I think, tainted just the name. And really, they were like, we can't even operate, because they were. I'll get into it, what happens to them after this, and once what happens to the people, the leaders of Team Bondi and all that stuff. But it's interesting for sure.
Yeah, and I guess before you jump into it, kind of like explaining, like, like we had a conversations. I think Cyberpunk really started the conversation of like we should talk about, or Trio was like we should talk about games that have kind of like gone through like rough developments. And I mean, obviously we don't know everything about Cyberpunk yet. It's still kind of like
trickles,
right? But it's still kind of like a new thing,
sure,
in a way. Whereas
it's just one of the most recent examples.
And like we talked about Halo 2 on the Re3 podcast. You can check them out on our podcast feed.
Absolutely.
Cyberpunk, we're currently like kind of watching Halo possibly go through
that. Yeah.
Not go through it, but like hoping they don't go through it.
It doesn't look back and see. We don't look back and see that. Yeah.
Right. And there's like all these games that have come out that like you kind of hear like have bad development cycles, and some of them come out on top and some of them don't. And yeah, I think that was a good call, because I think we would have like. Some of these stories are lengthy, like to get into like what exactly like what led from point A to point B to point C.
I couldn't do them all to service, truly, like to just try and go and like
right,
pinpoint everything. But it's fun. Like this one, it doesn't even look like there was like a specific thing that like made this really happen. It was more of just the overall attitude of this developer and just the people at the top of the corporate ladder, it seems. But yeah, we'll just get right into it. So the basics for you. Team Bondi developed LA Noire. The development started in 2004.
What?
Yeah, you didn't know that?
No.
Yeah, so concepts
Holy
and stuff.
shit!
So it was after,
Damn.
what's his name? Brendan McNamara, who was the lead developer at, I guess he's like game director, I should say, at Team Bondi. He came from Team Soho, I think, and they did this like,
Team Soho,
yeah,
interesting.
I can't remember. I forget the name of the game that they did before. It was
Sodo
Sopa, yeah.
At Kenny's house.
But so yeah, he started this company actually at the same time as Team Bondi, which was called Depth Analysis, which was actually responsible for creating the motion capture, which they use in the game for basically
which was utterly revolutionary at the time.
It was. It's actually called motion scan. Was what they called it.
I remember when before I got LA Noire, and like a lot of the advertisement and marketing around LA Noire was the fact that like their face, you know, like you're
getting all this detail. Yeah.
You're a detective, and you have to read people's faces and what they're doing and what they're not doing.
That's a good. So we'll get into the start of just giving you the basics of what this game is. I assume a lot of you have heard of it. But so basically, the story, you assume the role of a former Marine. His name is Cole Phelps. He starts his career.
Batch 1247.
Batch 1247. He starts his career as a beat cop and slowly moves his way up the ladder to detective. All the while, you're solving crimes that are actually apparently based on specifically like period accurate LA case files of the time, as well as major cases like the Black Dahlia
murders
and like things like that.
Is it the
I think
murder desk?
I think it is murder.
Yeah, you
it's
like
after Vice. I
you
thought
go through
right?
traffic,
no.
Vice, arson, murder, homicide.
Yeah.
The homicide desk. So you like LA Noire just did like I haven't played the remaster of it, but obviously I played it when it first came out, and it's like one of those games that I'm just like I fucking love LA Noire. I feel like it's one of those Rockstar games that kind of doesn't get the spotlight compared to Red Dead and GTA. I mean,
absolutely,
it's kind of like the next level low.
I would agree.
And then, you know, LA Noire is kind of at the bottom of those four.
Yeah, so this was set in 1947. They used LA as the backdrop. They painstakingly recreated it. Apparently, it's apparently as close as they could get to what it was like back then, which is very interesting. Yeah, they wanted to create a game that was on par with GTA. They originally were starting to develop this with Sony, but they ended up blowing out their budget.
As an exclusive?
It looked like it, yeah.
This is Team Bondi.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then they were also, I guess, like, they were blowing out their budget that Sony had set up, so, like, they were like, and then Rockstar came in and were like, we'll take over and we'll be your publisher and we'll help you out and stuff like that. Yeah. And obviously a lot of name recognition came with that and a lot of pressure.
So this game started being developed on the PS2.
PS3. They didn't even know what the technology yet was yet.
So
they were like developing it for next gen.
In the throes of 2004, they were building it for
basically the next gen generation. At that point. Yeah. Which is really interesting. So, yeah, a little background. Team Bondi was founded by Brendan McNamara in early 2004. It was originally set up as a PlayStation exclusive, like I said, but it ended up going with Rockstar. The first full-length trailer was released in 2006 and garnered a ton of attention. And apparently people were all over it, but it was nothing really more than a proof of concept.
Came out in 2011?
Yeah.
Okay. That's still...
It's far out.
I could not have told you that.
No, I would not have. But again, I'm looking at this... like, if you look it up, doesn't even look sort of like what it is.
I might have to.
Like it's like if you do yourself a favor, check it out. It just doesn't. It's basically like I said. It was a proof of concept. There wasn't even really any game development done on the project yet. It was more of like.
So what's the trailer?
The trailer is like it is, but like it's like an in-engine kind of game. I don't even know how to describe it. Like,
is it like a real-time render?
Yeah, it looks like
a better render. Like obviously it's not the in-game graphics.
No,
it's like
it's a little
trailer.
bit better. But again, by the time you get to it in 2011, it looks way better than what this trailer looks like. It's not because you're like looking at almost like early 2000, like early GTA 4 like graphics. No, probably even like not even as good as that. Like it really did not look great. But yeah, the first full-length trailer, like I said, was released in 2006. Rockstar putting their stamp of approval on it really garnered a lot of attention and really kind of put it on the map. Aside from wanting to make the game on the level of GTA, he wanted to do so using that motion scan technology that we were talking about. And apparently he put it maybe a little bit too much time into that, Robert McNamara. Like he was very concerned with this like technical aspect, and they were trying to get it developed to this point where they just wanted that detail in the face, like we were talking about. So they developed the motion scan. It could process 50 minutes of motion capture per day, which highly exceeded industry standards apparently of the time. But I mean, there were a few drawbacks because you basically just had to. They sat you in a chair. You had 32 cameras on a rig around you.
This isn't typical motion capture.
No.
This is a little bit different. So maybe to give some background, not that I'm an expert on this, I guess take what I say with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
A lot of games use motion capture.
I like motion capture better, but
back in the day. So like for example, like Metal Gear Solid 2, like on the PS2 uses motion capture. Like it was a thing.
Yeah. But it wasn't as much for faces at that point yet, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And it wasn't, I feel like a lot of top level studios were using it. Not every studio was probably doing motion capture, but a lot of them did. So it did exist.
Yeah, but it was definitely very new.
This is detailed just within your face.
Yeah. But yeah.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Just to interrupt you real quick, because I remember seeing what's the fucking actor's name that plays Cole Phelps?
Aaron
Madden?
No, Aaron Staten.
Yeah, he's in Mad Men.
Yeah.
There are trailers of like all the actors sitting in a chair doing the lines. Like they're not moving.
So they're basically filming
perfectly.
from here up right on your face. You're in the soundproof, lightproof room. They have all these lights shining on every single side of your face so that you don't cast any shadows or anything like that. And the idea was that it would eliminate that back-end idea of needing a programmer or a designer to come in and smooth over the face and make it and like do the final touches. It was more just like plug and play. You can plug this on top of your character, but they were using regular motion capture for the like arms and legs and your body, obviously.
Right, the actors probably weren't doing that.
But they would have to basically, like I said, sit in this chair. You're here. Staten was saying you could only move your head about 45 degrees. And you just had to stay.
So what's 45 degrees?
I guess basically, I assume like this
like
much,
this?
like truly,
like you couldn't
really know. You can't like. Yeah. So it's weird to. I didn't really think about that. They were basically just filming these guys separate and then placing that head
on a model that wasn't them. Yeah. So like motion capture now is like they're standing and doing it.
Yeah, and they're recording that more in real time, and then you have someone come in the after fact and make the faces look better on top of the motion capture. But like, yeah, it back then this was very interesting and different and weird. But I mean, it was a lot smoother and it cost a lot less time. But at the same time, it presented a new set of kind of issues and such. Like,
sure,
some of the stuff that they were talking about. Like I said, Staten said you could only move your head about 45 degrees. Every character had to be fully animated and voiced, including random pedestrians, apparently. So like, I kind of was confused on what. So like, I guess even in the scene, you'd have to have them come in and do that hours and sit in there and maybe use time to do so.
So even random NPCs were
cast actors and stuff like that, and apparently caused a major problem when it came to casting and stuff like that.
Yeah, that sounds like a huge fucking issue.
Yeah, and like again, you have to get these people to sit in this chair very still. And one thing I was reading online was like for some reason this was developed mostly in Australia. I should preface that. And one of the biggest game developments, if not the biggest game developments done in Australia, and they were talking about the Australian actors trying to do American accents, and they were just like, I can't just sit in a chair and act. Like, this is like, I need to be like using my body. I need to be like, they were just having a lot of issues finding people to just be like, I'm going to sit in my chair and deliver my lines well, but like basically from
But I can't move.
I can't put my body really into anything. It's interesting, and I will say I don't really feel like I noticed that when I was playing. I never really noticed. I was like, oh, these people were like, it feels like the bodies and everything are like, everything is lined up the way it should be, and we're not seeing any weird collapses in like, I don't know, the reality. But yeah, it was in a soundproof, lightproof room. Yeah, he spent a lot of time on this technology. He really was like focused. McNamara, he was very focused for some reason on like getting past that uncanny valley of like Oblivion, where it zooms in on your face and it's just like
LA
and its
Noire
lips not lining up.
Does
like,
have a sense of uncanny valley.
It does.
Most games don't, but LA Noire, I kind of get it. Even though I don't think it breaks anything for me.
There are some scenes I know what you mean though. Yeah.
Yeah, like some, I don't know. I think it's the mouth. I think it's in the mouth.
It is, and it's the
way the mouth moves, and
I will say the eyes actually don't look. That it's teeth. You know what? Like when it comes to a lot of character models, I don't remember who said this, but I thought it was a very good point. Like teeth are still, especially now, even still, like teeth are weird. They don't like. That's one. It's if one thing is off, obviously that's the uncanny valley. It's weird, and you don't like looking at it as a human being. And if just even something as little as just like your eyes, or like you're saying the mouth is off, you're gonna take me out of that.
For those who don't know, uncanny valley is when animation or like a 3D render, is super lifelike to the point where it's like makes you uncomfortable. Well, it's like good example. Polar Express is kind of uncanny valley territory.
Well, no, it's more uncanny valley is more that it's not quite there. Like you're recognizing that it's not
right. It's so real,
it's so close, but like there's just not quite yet there that your mind can't really.
I explained that a little wrong.
No, it's okay.
It's trying to be so real, but there's something that is
it just can't make
breaking it off of being real that makes
and you
feel
can't quite
uncomfortable.
Put your finger on it, maybe even like it's exactly.
Yeah.
But I thought that was very interesting. But again, when it came through this development, it just seemed like there was a ton of just misdirection, and this Brendan McNamara had like a bunch of he apparently ruled with a bit of an iron fist in the way of like everything had to be approved by him, everything had to go through him. He was expecting everyone to be there when he was there, when he wasn't there.
I heard about this.
So, I'll just get right into it. The working conditions at Team Bondi were, by all accounts, not great from everyone. So there were just awful work hours, not much direction in the way of what they were doing, especially in the beginning. Like, they were just kind of sitting there going, like, what's the concept? What are we doing? Like, I get we're, like, doing this detective story. They wanted to use their own engine, not Rockstar's Rage engine, which is their, like, proprietary tech. And many of the staff leads were picked from Team Soho, McNamara's old team, and they kind of came in with this. It seems like a bit more laissez-faire attitude, but at the same time, they wanted it ran the way they wanted it ran, and like it just wasn't jiving with the way how industry standards obviously should be. But there was a large staff turnover rate. It just people were talking about just feeling like they were in a perpetual crunch. It just was never ending. An artist with 12 years an artist with 12 years of professional experience, not necessarily in games, said this. They created a below junior position, a graduate junior. I think so they could pay them less and push people around. Team Bondi was the first and last development company that he worked for, and he said, I don't want another job in the game industry because of my time with Team Bondi. Which is like interesting to think like the amount of people they apparently were just turning over day in and day out was like insane. He's like, he said basically because of his experience at Team Bondi, he would never work in video games ever again. And again, these are anecdotal, but like this just comes down to the thing of like, this closed down their studio. And like this, there seems to be a lot of cooperation, and this just seems to be like, it just was not a good place to work. A former programmer says that during his 3 years tenure at the studio, they had a, quote, massive turnaround, especially in the coding department. Out of the 45 people that no longer worked at the studio, 11 were fired, and out of the 34 that actually decided to leave, 25 of those were coders. So most of whom had no job to go to, but they thought unemployment was better than working at Team Bondi. It's just sad. All 11 ex-employees who went on the record blame many of Team Bondi's problem on the studio's leadership. One programmer cited unrealistic goals, unreasonable deadlines, and verbally abusive behavior. And again, like it's funny, they talk to McNamara, and he's kind of like, well, we're running a shit. Like it's not even necessarily no, that didn't have. It's like, well, we want stuff done, we get it done. Like it was just like he's like, that's what we do, and then he was saying like how a lot of it was kind of blown out of proportion, but In March of 2007, a corporate team building company named Leading Teams was invited to the studio to address employee discontent and high turnover, according to one source. While the team members were able to air their grievances, others were fearful that retribution would come their way if they if they did contribute to the session. So again, it was like more of like they just didn't know what would happen if they actually.
So they were bad conditions. McNamara was kind of saying they're not bad conditions. This is just how we do things.
This is how games work. Yeah.
I guess somebody at higher up had to.
And he was
entertain the fact that there were people not having a good time at the company, clearly, and leaving and firing, and
they seem to just not
people
really
going
care.
in and out. They brought in an outside company, and then they said if you
it just
perpetuate the fact that things are bad here to these guys while they're here.
It doesn't seem like it's not necessarily that like they said that. Just people were too. They're like, I'm gonna get fired if I say anything. Like they had fear of retribution. It's not necessarily that they were like, they said, don't say anything, you fuckheads. They were like, listen, they probably saw Johnny down the street get fired for doing the same thing. So why are they? And they find something else.
That's crazy.
No, it's really insane. Of the 3 years that the artist spent at Team Bondi or Bondi, he worked a 60-hour week on average. That to meet each development milestone. Around one per month, he says, his workload would jump between around once per month. His workload would jump between 80 to 110 hours per week for a period of 1 to 2 weeks at a time.
Wow.
I mean, that means like
normal work week is obviously 40 hours. I think most people know that.
Yeah.
So how the fuck would you double a work week? You would almost have to be nonstop working.
Like that's the other thing.
And
it's
then
like,
doing weekends.
Yeah.
Like that's essentially like
you'd be working all the way through.
80 to 100 hours essentially means you're working all day and all night.
What would 10 hours a day be? 10 times 7, that's 70. So you'd have to be working basically, all day, every day.
So what's 15 times 7?
I don't know.
Jesus. That's about 100.
Yeah, that's at least, so like that's,
So you're probably doing like 10 to 13 hour days
of work a day,
including weekends.
And it just seems like that was expected. McNamara seemed to see all things differently. He said, quote, "We all work the same hours. People don't work any longer hours than I do. I don't turn up at 9 a.m.
So he's working
and go up at 5 a.m. to go
them.
to the beach. Yeah. I'm here at the same hours as everyone else. We're making stuff that's never been made before," he asserted. "We are making the type of game that has never been made before. We are making it with new people and new technology, people who are committed to put whatever hours in that they need to."
That's like almost like fanaticism behind the ideology.
It's just so weird. But again, you're so committed.
Like subscribe to and things that everyone else
and this is how it should
subscribe to. And
I want to kill myself with work, so you should also have to want to kill yourself with work.
Right.
And it's insane. But I mean, finally, after all this time and all this just tumultuous bullshit, they finally got the game out in 2011. In early August of 2011, it was reported that Team Bondi was seeking a buyer, with McNamara being seen around the offices of Australian film studio head Kennedy Miller Mitchell. He was believed to negotiate the acquisition deal. On August 9th, Kennedy Miller Mitchell announced that they had acquired all of Team Bondi's assets as well as the intellectual property of the game that McNamara was presently writing a script for. All employees, 35 at the time, were given an opportunity to move.
35 people left.
35 all of the there were only 35 employees
at Team Bondi
at this point.
Yeah, but do you have any numbers on what they
so
were
that's
at?
what so Team Bondi I don't have how many actually went.
No. How many? What were the What was the numbers during development?
It seemed to fluctuate a lot. Between 50 to 100,
Right, I guess we were saying that, so I guess there was probably
and then once Rockstar was involved, they had supplementary, studios helping to work on it and things like that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So there was some of that, but they announced they had acquired Team Bondi assets as well as intellectual property. Like I said, all the employees, the 35 at the time, were given the opportunity to move to Kennedy Miller Mitchell for future employment. I don't know how many of them actually went. That was probably would have been a good number to get. But
that might not even be available.
Yeah, that's true. It's exactly true. Team Bondi was placed into administration on what is that? Team Bondi was placed into administration. I guess everyone was placed on administrative leave. I think that's what it was supposed to say. So they were placed on administrative leave on the 31st of August in 2011. At the request of Team Bondi's creditors, the company entered liquidation on October 5th, 2011. The liquidator handled the sales of Team Bondi's remaining assets and payment of outstanding debts. Would you like to hear about the debts?
Sure.
Team Bondi owed over 40 creditors as much as $1,400,000. Yes, $1.4 million Australian, with unpaid wages or bonuses accounting for over 75% of those debts.
That's crazy.
33 staff credited for their work on LA Noire were owed a combined of about $1.1 million in unpaid wages and bonuses.
Holy shit.
Amongst those, McNamara claimed to be owed $102 million. General manager Vicky
Jesus.
Lord, but I was 100 for some reason. That was in U.S. 102 million or U.S. dollars, and then the general manager Vicky Lord was owed 99,000 in Australian, and the lead gameplay programmer David Hieronymus was owed 43,000 Australian. Depth analysis was also reported to be owed $145,000 as well.
That's crazy.
So that's
you're
probably
doing these
also
hours and you're not even getting paid,
and people are just sitting there just dealing with it. I mean, truly, this is one of when I was reading about it, I was like, oh, this is classic. And it's crazy to think of. I mean, I don't know how well regarded LA Noire is now. I feel like it's an interesting one where you bring it up to most people, but I highly regard it for sure. I really enjoy the game.
Yeah, Intrude in chat says 1.4 million in Australian would be just under 1 million USD today. So it's probably
wow,
not
they
too,
went under.
Probably
they went down.
Different.
Jesus.
Yeah, I would assume.
I guess ours is worth more than Australia. Yeah,
right.
Yeah, that makes sense actually. Interesting. Yeah, it's insane. Truly, I don't know how. And again, at the end, he McNamara was just it didn't seem like he was just this brand is tarnished. We have to move.
Yeah, I heard a lot about Brendan McNamara. He was from what I knew before this, he was it was him. He was the issue.
He seemed he just seemed to not give a shit.
And Rockstar,
or he give a shit too much in some ways.
So does Rockstar own LA Noire? Because I was gonna say, how did that port get made? There was a remaster that just
I
came
believe
out.
They own that IP.
Right.
I'd assume that
because when you said that this film company, whatever in Mitchell, acquired their assets, I was like, okay, their asset is LA Noire. What is? They have to own it.
Yeah.
There's no way Rockstar doesn't own it.
Yeah. Yeah. So Rockstar, okay. Yeah, that seemed they do.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, man. It just seemed like a really insanely fucked up situation.
Yeah.
And 7 years of development, which isn't even that crazy of a long period of time, really. There's been some games. Rockstar worked on Red Dead 2 for 10 years or 8 years.
And I had also heard that Rockstar also
has a bit of a crunch issue.
That and they didn't do anything to help. Apparently.
Oh, I see.
I've heard that Rockstar also.
Yeah, it's
didn't
funny
give
when I was
too
reading
much of
stuff
shits
on this.
about
I didn't
anything.
even think to really look into that. I didn't see a ton of people talking about that.
Rockstar's
what they could have But again, it's not necessarily Rockstar's job to be the human resources department. They just own them. Their human resources should be on top of that. Because they're just a publisher. At the end of the day, they're not the. I don't know how that works necessarily, but I do think that kind of onus falls on the company to have an HR department.
I'm thinking. I would imagine. Let's take BioWare for example. They're owned by EA. I would imagine if things were going wrong at BioWare, EA would step in. So, yeah, I don't know. Rockstar had to have been known these issues have been going on, and they just weren't doing anything about it. And I mean, that kind of checks out with, there were a lot of conversations around Red Dead Redemption 2 and its crunch. And I forget exactly what the stories were, but I know Jason Schreier was writing a lot about it. And that makes sense. That kind of checks out. If Rockstar was letting a lot of crunch happen.
Yeah.
I'm sure they did it with Team Bondi. I'm sure they did it with their own teams. I'm sure they just let it happen.
I definitely don't think that's unfair to say. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just seemed like a very interesting and just strange idea, that this could do so well, and then just off the back, they're like, we're gonna burn it. And I don't know if do you think I'd ever visit LA Noire?
Do you think I?
No. Do you think they would? No, not even. No, I'm saying. Do you think? Rockstar would ever revisit the LA
I would
Noire.
love to get another game like that.
I agree.
I don't necessarily think we need a sequel to LA Noire. LA Noire is like a very think about this. What all we just said. LA Noire turned out to be a pretty fucking good game.
No, it did.
Really good narrative, really good story, really interesting characters, really differently written.
I agree.
Cole Phelps is written like very interestingly.
Well, but again,
like
I just
you
think
like
that is-
love him at one point, and then you hate him, and then it's like, is Cole Phelps a good guy or bad guy? And you never
One
really
thing
get the
I have
answer
to
that.
give Rockstar credit for is recognizing good. Like they didn't necessarily develop this narrative, but like they saw a good potential and a great narrative possibility out of this. Just the way, like, I mean, I still think hands down, Arthur Morgan is one of my favorite protagonists in video games. Like maybe even top 3, maybe number 1. I think that there's something to writing a character like that that makes you really get invested. And Rockstar does recognize that, and I don't know.
Even though this isn't like a Rockstar proper game, it sure as hell
not
feels
even in their
like
engine.
it.
Yeah, but it, like again, I would never have guessed that this wasn't in their regular engine. It feels like it still has that
Do
same
you know
weight.
what their engine is?
I can't remember what it
You
was.
said
like,
it was called Rage?
Oh yeah, Rage. It's an acronym.
Is that what everything is made in?
Yeah, it's what most of their stuff. The Rage engine, short for Rockstar Advanced Game Engine.
Ah,
Yeah.
clever.
Yeah, no, they've been using that forever, and I mean, they just actually announced a bunch of upgrades, like in their last.
They're making their first next gen game.
No, I know. Well,
It's gonna have to be a little bumped up.
it's just interesting to see how like. I wonder. I have no idea what GTA 6 is going to look like, and I know we're all like everyone keeps talking about it.
I mean, talk about a.
I mean, now Dan Houser's gone too, so it's like
Rockstar has been changing a lot.
he's starting his own company though, which is nice.
So, but and that's Rockstar has always been such an enigma. I feel
know.
like they still are. They're such an unknownly known.
Well, they
studio.
just know that
You don't hear what's going on at Rockstar.
they're very tight-lipped.
Yeah,
They are extra, and they know if something gets out, they don't like. I remember the Red Dead 2 map leaked. I think
remember
like
that.
years before it happened, and like I think it was pretty successfully like debunked. Like they kind of like that's nothing. Like
Was
and
it
everyone,
true?
and it was the exact. It was like an earlier version of it.
Sure.
But it was absolutely
world
the
map?
map. It was
Yeah.
like it showed Saint Denis, it showed or fucking Annisburg and stuff at the top, and like Valentine. There was also a few extra spots in there that I guess were taken out. But yeah, no, it's weird. You get such sparse stuff from Rockstar that you don't know what to believe.
Yeah.
Like, because there have been
That's
a bunch
why
of
every
GTA
time
6.
I hear GTA 6 something, and I'm like, I don't believe it.
There have been a few consistent ones that seem to be that look to be accurate, like the Vice City thing, and that they
the remasters.
that, but also that it seems that GTA 6 is going to be in Vice City and be this kind of expanding map. That seems to be pretty. I don't
Definitive.
know, somewhat definitive, I would say. But again, it's just so hard to read what ones are real because like. They have such a tight lip over there. They really do. I mean, I remember reading.
They don't go to E3.
No.
They do everything on their own time when they want to do it, how they want to do it. Like nobody.
And again,
bats an
'cause they
eye,
can
nobody
do it.
Questions it.
Yeah.
Right. They have this. I want to say staying power, but that might not be.
No,
the
I
right
think that makes
term.
sense,
They have this aura, this kind of like presence in the industry that Rockstar does whatever they want and fuck anyone else. And like they're not like aggressive about it, but like they just do what they want when they want it, not when the industry tells them they need to do it. Like like E3. But like look at somebody like Kojima. Kojima could do whatever he wants, but Kojima loves the award shows.
I was gonna say he loves talking.
being
He
present.
likes kind of hinting towards what's coming next.
Right, and he makes the circuit. He goes, does interviews. Like
Again,
when he
my only
does
hope,
games. Like, that's
especially-
not a Rockstar thing.
with GTA 6, I just hope Hauser wrote all like because they write satire.
So who were the brothers?
the Hauser brothers.
And the other one died, right?
I believe so. I don't know for sure though. I'd have to look that up.
Yeah, recently.
Yeah, hold on. Let me see.
Yeah, I like at least 2019. I'll put money on that. Like Hauser brother death. You probably should find it.
Dan Hauser. Brothers death. I'm seeing Dan Hauser, Sam Hauser. Born 1970. No, I think they're still alive, Gooch.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did somebody die from Rockstar recently? I feel like somebody died.
Maybe.
I don't know. But anyway.
Yeah. So I'm just hoping GTA 6 is just written out at least. I mean, it has to. I feel like that's one of the first things they finish is the script, like for those types of games. But like,
I don't know.
I don't know, man. They write satire, like on the level of the South Park guys, in my opinion. In video, like I really think they have this like way of communicating a narrative that's like outrageous, but also heartfelt, especially when it comes to like GTA, where it was like I think Red Dead's much more earnest writing and it's more like truly about like the the cowboy's journey, whatever. But like GTA 5 is more ridiculous and fun, but it still has
all that is in the DNA of LA Noire. It's like there's a lot of satire in LA Noire in a way, like in a very light way. But like the whole game isn't serious. There's a lot of goofiness to some of the cases. And
absolutely.
Shit. But then like it's about World War II vets and how World War II
coming
vets
back
are coming back and acclimating to real life and being cops and drugs coming back from the war and stuff. It's it's an interesting take.
No, I guess this would have been the time where people do like people from the army still. I was gonna say, and like Vietnam was when you were coming back.
No, people like people from the army.
From me at this point,
Vietnam is a different story.
But so that about covers it on the development of LA Noire. I just thought it was a very tumultuous story, and just it sucks. But I'm like happy we have this game. I guess that's at least
right. I mean, like it's kind of shitty to say that suffering wasn't for nothing.
I know, but
at least
you need to find a bit of a silver lining, at least, especially in a situation as shitty like that.
Got it remastered. It's on Switch. It's pretty much on everything right now.
I own it on Xbox.
I should think about replaying LA Noire. I watched some streams of it recently. Not recently, within like the last year probably.
Yeah.
And I was like, LA Noire is a game that I would like to go back to at some point, maybe.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, well, Gooch, I think this has been a lot of fun. Guys, thank you so much for watching us with us live. If you've been with us on twitch.tv/Delco Nerd Network, we are on all your favorite social media podcasts and not podcasts, platforms and all that good stuff. At Delco Nerds, we have a Facebook page. Just give our name a search on there, as well as a fun Discord channel where you can talk about, I don't know, Rockstar and some other things from time to time. All this information can be found on our website, DelcoNerdNetwork.com. We have an email as well, DelcoNerds@gmail.com. You can email us comments, questions, or concerns. We would be happy to get back to you. But for Gooch, I've been Trio. Thanks for watching, guys. Stay nerdy, and we will see you next time.